Assalamu alaikum dear students, and welcome to the 36th session of the KIPS Distance Learning Program Current Affairs Newspaper Roundup session. Now we've seen a lot of developments in the world happening even amid the coronavirus pandemic, and we have seen that great power politics are evolving at an even faster rate perhaps than they were evolving before the pandemic came onto being, which means that countries are perhaps conducting secret diplomacies, secret foreign policy missions, and ensuring that their strategic interests are not hurt even when the rest of the world is closed, and when business is closed, and when the world economy is teetering from a global crisis. So, what is this new development that we are seeing in the context of South Asia? Well, there is an emerging bloc emerging in South Asia which has a lot of potential, which has the potential to disturb the original power relations in Asia generally and in South Asia in particular, and this is a very interesting sort of strategic alignment that is coming on to being. So let's look at what that alignment is, but before that we need to look at a bit of history of this region and bilateral relations between different countries. So first of all, I think that, and it's quite known, that the relationship between Pakistan and Bangladesh are under the shadow of the separation that happened in 1971, and they have to a large extent not really recovered from that, which is why Pakistan and Bangladesh have always held very cold relations with each other. There is no comprehensive dialogue, there is no multilateral initiative or any kind of free trade agreement, and in fact the bilateral trade between Pakistan and Bangladesh is way behind its potential. So naturally, the reason for that is that the fratricide between the two wings of the former Pakistan was a very bloody one. Many millions, if not millions, at least hundreds of thousands of Bengalis died and were killed brutally. Many war crimes were conducted when Pakistan was separating, Bangladesh was separating, and Pakistan was breaking up. So the Bengali people to a large extent still consider Pakistan as a murderer of thousands of Bengalis, which to a large extent colors their perception of Pakistan, and they don't trust Pakistanis at all. In 1974, in order to try to resolve the outstanding and deeply held animosity, especially in the hearts of the Bengali people and politicians towards the then West Pakistan politician and establishment, a historic accord was signed in 1974 between Pakistan and the newly created Bangladesh, between then Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and Prime Minister Mujibur Rahman. Now that accord at least attempted to put a final lid on the question of war crimes and the accountability for what happened in 1971. And to a large extent that persisted until at least 2009, when Mujibur Rahman's granddaughter Sheikh Hasina was elected to the prime ministership of Bangladesh, and then she somehow reopened those accountability and war crimes cases in Bangladesh from 1971. So it was like resurrecting the dead. But anyhow, she opted to do that. So that's one of the main reasons why Pakistan's relations with Bangladesh have been strained and in deep waters ever since 2009, and not much has been achieved since then. Now let's look at the Bengal-China relations. So Bangladesh and China relations have also not achieved the kind of potential that they could have achieved, and there was not really any comprehensive dialogue between Dhaka and between Beijing for a long time, at least until 2016. That's when the Bangladeshi leadership decided to agree to the offers of the Chinese Communist Party to join the Belt and Road Initiative by making the Chittagong port an important strategic port representing Chinese-Bangladesh relations. And some developments have happened, and there's significant infrastructure development and investment, Chinese investment, coming into the Chittagong port and other infrastructure development projects in Bangladesh, but there was always a hiccup in those projects, which was always India. Now let's look at Indo-Bangladesh relations. So Bangladesh considers India to be its liberator. The Bengali people think that it was India that came to their aid when the West Pakistanis were butchering Bangladeshis. And that is one of the main reasons why Bangladesh has had very deep and close strategic partnership and economic and trade relations with India. Now, having said that, the potential that existed between these two countries for relations was still not achieved to a large extent. But in recent times, at least before Prime Minister Modi was elected for the second time, there was a lot of efforts between the Bangladeshi leadership and establishment and the Indian leadership and establishment to ensure that there is even greater comprehensive dialogue and multilateral and multi-pronged initiatives and cross-border movement between the two countries. They enjoy one of the highest trade volumes in South Asia. However, to a large extent, all of that changed when the Prime Minister Modi was elected for the second time, and then that is when he unveiled his supremacist Hindutva agenda to basically ostracize and criminalize all the other minorities of India, with the largest minority being the Muslims, which in population are even larger than the entire population of Pakistan. Now, moreover, when India decided to bring forth its Indian Citizen Amendment Act, the CAA, in 2019, that really impacted the ethnic Bengalis living in the province of Assam in India. This act, in conjunction with the Indian National Registrar's legislation that was passed by the Indian Parliament, actually put the status of those ethnic Bengalis in Bangladesh at risk. Their status as Indian nationals was basically challenged, and Indian government sought to deny them their nationality, deny them a home, which really put a lot of strain on Bengali India relations, because if those Bengalis, the ethnic Bengalis living in Assam, that basically migrated to Assam in India after the 1971 debacle and short war, which killed many ethnic Bengalis in Bangladesh and in Dhaka. So these people don't really have a state if they are exempted from Indian statehood, Indian nationality, and probably they would have to return to Bangladesh, and that would put immense pressure on the already struggling economy of Bangladesh, given the fact that Bangladesh is the most impacted country from climate change and floods and is in dire straits. Moreover, India hasn't really played its historic roles towards Bangladesh and has sought to throw its weight around and act like a big brother, which was represented in its behavior in the SAARC association as well, and its bilateral ties with other nations such as Nepal and Bhutan, and to some extent with Bangladesh as well, which is why India's historic allies in its neighborhood are starting to lose confidence in Indian leadership and in Indian credibility to follow through with their commitments. So this means that a rift has been created, or is in the creating, between Bangladesh and India, which is a substantial rift that was best represented by the fact that even though Indian High Commissioner to Dhaka has tried for 4 months to convince Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to have a one-to-one meeting with Prime Minister Modi, she refused. She has refused to talk to him or to have a meeting with him. Now, one of the other reasons why Bangladesh is starting to lose its trust over India is Indian handling of the Kashmiri Muslims, and just like the rest of the Muslim world is condemning Indian atrocities and outright war crimes and mass violation of human rights, Bangladesh is also slowly coming onto that side, even though in the past Bangladesh considered Kashmir to be an internal matter of India. But however, that narrative is slowly changing. And finally, overall, the idea that Bangladesh, in fact, that Bangladesh is basically a Muslim country, and Indian government's treatment of the Indian Muslims is below par and discriminatory in a lot of ways. The Bangladeshi leadership and the Bangladeshi population feels that the Indian Hindutva narrative is against their interests, which is why they are slowly moving away from their partnership with India. Now there is a gap that India is leaving behind by fracturing its relation with Bangladesh. Now that gap is consistently and speedily being filled by none other than China. So let's look at some of the recent developments that have being evolved between China, Bangladesh and Pakistan. So Chinese footprint, economic and political footprint in Dhaka has been increasing ever since 2016 Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese investment in the Chittagong port, and a couple of other bilateral strategic alignment initiatives. Moreover, all the Indian projects that were being carried out in Bangladesh as part of the strategic alignment between India and Bangladesh have been put on the back burner. And on the other hand, all the Chinese projects that were being built in Bangladesh are on the fast track right now. And for example, an airport terminal in Sehet was given to a Chinese company, even though it was originally envisioned to be built by an Indian company. So there is a clear, shift in Bangladesh's alignment in this strategic competition that is going on in this region. Moreover, Bangladesh's and Dhaka's tilt towards China and Pakistan, just like Iran in recent days, exhibits an important shift of regional power dynamics, where there is an emerging bloc consisting of important South Asian nations and China, which want to move ahead and move beyond an American-dominated Asia-Pacific region. They want to be independent, they want to become economically strong, and they want to exploit and utilize the abundance of natural resources that is present within their countries. Iran, Pakistan, Bangladesh, maybe Nepal, Central Asian republics, they are all tired from hegemonic behavior from not only America but also India. And in recent developments, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, also had a phone conversation with Imran Khan, which happened after quite a long time, years and years of time, and once again represents Bangladesh's warming up to Pakistan. And perhaps now Sheikh Hasina will drop all the cases that she reopened from the 1971 war crimes and accountability issue, and there could be strategic dialogue between Pakistan and Bangladesh and China, which could evolve into a greater narrative where these countries would develop a regional economic, political, social and cultural bloc in order to thwart Western influence on this region and in order to build infrastructure projects and create socio-economic prosperity in this entire belt. However, there is a problem with this emerging bloc. The problem is quite naturally of -1 formula. So who is the -1 in this case? Quite naturally it is India. So perhaps if this keeps on going, and if more and more countries in South Asia and in Southeast Asia start to join Chinese-led economic and political bloc in this region, perhaps that would put enough pressure on India to also consider doing that while severing its not very beneficial ties with the United States of America. So there's a lot on the horizon as far as the politics of South Asia, the Indian Ocean and the greater Indo-Pacific region is concerned, and things are moving at a fast rate. So I suggest that you keep a close eye upon it. Thank you very much for your patience. Take care. Allah Hafiz.